So a couple of things have happened this week that prompted me to want to share, right? So the first is I was just kind of flipping through some social media stuff and I came across this Tim Robbins quote, which I'm going to pull up on my computer and share with you. It says, "Stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start being excited about what could go right." And the reason that struck me this week is because I've been ruminating is probably the right word. It's been disrupting my sleep a little about kind of some things I have in the works that are causing me stress and anxiety. And I keep kind of ruminating on all of the things that could go wrong with that. While the reason I'm doing these things is for good, right? I want good things to happen. And so I'm kind of doing these activities and making these choices and moving these things around because I want things to be different. And so I'm stuck in this negative space of this is going to go wrong. Oh my God, what if this, what if that, what if this? When that reminder from Tim Robbins was simply like, stop worrying about what could go wrong, right? You're doing this for good. Like you want positive things to come. So start focusing on how come you're doing it. So that happened. That was earlier this week. And then just yesterday, I have a massage therapist who she's been treating me for over a decade. And I love her. Hi, Beck. And I was sharing with her yesterday about my podcast, which I will tell you about in just a minute, but my podcast and other things. I actually did a workshop at my local library this week on well-being, which I think went well. And I was feeling really good about all this stuff. And she said to me that how I've kind of done what I intended to do. How a few years ago I had said to her, I really want to kind of switch things up and change things. And she said, you know, you're there, or you've gotten there, or think about where you're at, or something to that effect. And I pushed back immediately and I said, yeah, but I don't really know if it's going to like support me financially. And I kind of pushed back. And then later on in the day, it got me thinking about her comment, which I should have heard, didn't hear, but heard later, which was, I'm doing what I set out to do a couple years ago, and how that's not a small feat, how that was not accidental. And so I am grateful to her, and told her so, for reminding me of that. So I wanted to share a little bit of that with you today, just in hopes that maybe if you're kind of going through some similar things. So rewind back a couple of years. I had a full-time job. It was a great job, a very important job, helping lots of people. But it was at a sort of high level. And I worked really hard all the time. I spent most of my life working in this job. And I would say probably 85% of it was doing and moving and writing and working and lots of flying and lots of airplanes and lots of airports and lots of hotels and lots of that kind of moving in the service of a job that didn't feel rewarding to me, that felt draining and exhausting. And maybe 15% of it felt kind of enriching and positive. And as I looked at that some years ago, I began to understand and see that the parts of my job that most enlivened me, that most filled me, that really made me feel like I was doing good in the world, was when I was engaged with people, when I was connecting with people, when I was working with people to solve problems and collaborating and connected and all of those things. And 85% of the time I was not doing any of that. And maybe 15% I was. And I knew that it was sucking the life out of me and that I needed to make a change. And so I started to explore other things. And so about 2 years ago, I started the wheels in motion of doing some training around positive psychology and a host of other things that kind of moved me more toward connectiveness and positivity. And I also put in motion some things that allowed me to feel financially safe, maybe not flourishing financially, but financially safe to say, I can step away from this great job with great salary and all of that and kind of see what's out there. And so I did. And so earlier this year, like literally pre-COVID, like the week before we had to stop getting on airplanes and stop being at restaurants, I left that job. And I started to do all of the things that I wanted to do, right? I started this YouTube channel in the fall, right? So if it was back in the fall, I just went, woo! And I just jumped in. I had no idea. I had no idea what this was going to be. And I, started to look into the possibility of doing workshops, which I did this week. I did, as I just said, my first workshop on well-being, emotional well-being, which I think went well. And I wanted to do a podcast, and I started a podcast. It's called Karen and Sharon. So Karen, like the word caring with an apostrophe, and sharing with an apostrophe, Karen and Sharon, with Karen and Sharon, because I'm doing it with a girlfriend, Karen. So we're on we did it on Anchor, but you can get it on Spotify and like Google Podcasts and other ones that I don't know well, but I think it's almost everywhere. So take a look. One of the easiest ways is I'm sharing with an E, so I'm Sharen, and that seems to be an easy way to find it. But anyway, I started a podcast. So I have this YouTube channel, I have a podcast, I'm doing workshops, and all of these things are happening. And I set this in motion a while back, and Becca reminded me, like, you're doing what you set out to do. And I guess the lesson for me this week from the Tim Robbins thing and from the reminder from Becca was I had a sense of what I wanted to be doing. And the active part of the doing is the part that matters, not the destination. And I know that that's cliche, right? Life is a journey and all of those things. But I think the lesson that I've learned, or that I'm learning, actively learning, I have no idea where life is going. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea where this goes, what the goals are, what the end is. I'm just living the life I choose to live right now. I want to share and make people feel like they are empowered and strong and amazing. I want to help people be the best versions of themselves that they can be. I want to support people's mental health. I want to work to improve our criminal justice system. I want to improve justice as a whole. I have a ton of things that I want to move into the world. And I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to put things out there. I'm going to move in this world in a way that strengthens me, but also feels meaningful and connected. And I don't know where it goes. I don't know what comes next. I have no idea. And how awesome is that? I guess is my point. And that if you're in a space where I am, if you are kind of struggling with worry about, I don't know how to move to the next thing, I don't know how to get out of this stuck place where I am and get to the next thing, I'm not ready, I don't know how, it's crap. Nobody knows how. Nobody knows how. Make sure your basics are taken care of. Make sure you can house and clothe and feed yourself and that, you're safe. And then do what you love. And the pieces will fall into place. There's no other option. I don't know how else to explain that to you other than to tell you that I'm doing it and I'm living it and it feels amazing. And I don't know how else to encourage you, if you're feeling stuck about something, to just take that first step. Carol Dweck talks about like the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset, that we believe that we are as smart as we're ever going to be, that we're, that our character, our personality, all those things are fixed. And when we believe that our life fits in a little box, we feel sort of stuck, right? I can only ever do this job. I can only ever be this big. I can only ever contribute this much. I can only ever, right? We've kind of put ourselves in these little boxes and we get stuck there. Whereas the growth mindset is the idea that if we put forth effort and we put ourselves out there and we take that step, and we don't know if we're going to fail or we're going to succeed. We don't know what comes next. We just know that I want to grow and out of this box. I don't want to be stuck in this one place. I want to move outside of it. We actually do better when we get ourselves out of that box, right? She's done some research with children, for example, and she's found that if we tell kids that the reason that they're succeeding is because they're smart or because they're talented, right? They have some sort of quality that's fixed and you're good because of that, that kids will actually tend not to accomplish more. Some will rest on their laurels and some will feel stuck like, I can't ever do better than this. I'm only this smart and that's as smart as I am. I'm only this talented and I can't do bigger or more. However, when we tell kids that the reason that they do wonderfully is because they put effort in and they worked really hard, and we show them that it's in their doing that is the success, that they are an active participant in their success, they do better because think about it. I mean, we're saying the reason that you do well is because you're putting yourself out there, right? Brene Brown says, you can't criticize me from the audience. You got to be in here. You got to be doing it. And if you're going to tell me that I'm going to fail as you sit and eat popcorn, I don't need to listen to you. I am going to be an active participant in my life. I am going to take steps. I don't know where those, where those steps go. I don't know if I'm going to fall off a ledge or if I'm going to fly into happiness. I have no idea. But all I know is that I cannot and will not sit still and be a spectator in my life. I can't do it. I won't do it. And I'm not doing it. And so I'm grateful to Beck for yesterday and reminding me that where I am today is where I sort of set out to be a few years back. And while the path may have gone like this and back it up around again, I'm doing it. And again, I don't know where it goes. I don't know where the end is. And so I'm just going to keep on plugging. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. And I hope that if you are stuck in a place where you feel like you can't, it's BS. Of course you can. You absolutely can. Give it a shot. It's the worst that'll happen. Worst that'll happen? Didn't work out. And you'll do something else. That's what I got. Please be safe. Please wash your hands. Please wear a mask. Please love those you love with all of your heart, including yourself. And I'll talk to you soon.